Guys, wanted to share a thought with you this morning. Probably going to be somewhat of a brief call, but I want to hit some things that I think are going to be very valuable because we're coming up the last week of the month, um, and this is the fourth quarter. Um, this is the fourth quarter, not in the year sense, but in a game sense. We're coming down to the wire. A lot of you, at the beginning of the month, were on a call with Scott Mank and talking about where he's at. He's on his third month of a run to 110. And don't know, I sent him a message this morning. I don't know exactly where we're at on the numbers. It's probably close. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a little close right now. So this is fourth quarter. This is time where it's time for each and every one of us to step up. But it's time. John Paul shared something on our call yesterday, the builders call, and hopefully you got a chance to plug into that. That was he had some great information to share on that. But he said something that sparked my imagination for the call today, and it's something that we're all aware of, but we don't really stop and acknowledge or take time to think through. And he made a comment about the fact that all the top leaders, whether it be a Marshall Whalen, Ed Pritchett, any of the 110s, any of the equity partners, all of them at one point were sitting right where you are. And I don't care where you're at in the business. If this is day one, and you haven't even written an application, or maybe you've gone out and you've written, 500 or 1,000 AP, or maybe you've got a small team going. You guys are doing 5 to 10,000 a week, or maybe you're an agency owner. Doesn't matter where you're at. Even at my point in the business, those folks were all right there where you are right now. And what's the difference between where you're sitting right now and where they were 7 years ago, again, sitting where you are, and where you are today? And if you look at the charts, it's interesting. Again, we kind of look at, Marshall Whalen, and I glanced at the numbers this morning before this call. Last week, $737,000 for the week that his team put up. Ed Pritchett, $767,000 for the week his team put up. But those guys, again, in the early days of this business, did $1,000 in a week. Personal production, maybe 5,000 personal production. As they got a team going, maybe 15, 20, 25,000 in a week. And even as they grew and moved up, when I came on with Marshall, he was doing probably, and I'd have to go back and look at the actual numbers, but no more than for the month, probably somewhere around 400,000 to 500,000 for the month. And now he's doing 737,000 for a week. But what happened over that time period? And guys, one of the things that I want to equate what those guys went through and where they're at in the business, where we're at right now as a team, where you're at as an individual in this business, because everybody starts at the same place. That's what too many times we look at these lofty numbers and say, well, I could never get there. Those guys, they had something, they came in with the team, they came with an existing business. No, everybody starts at ground level, and they started exactly where you are. And right now as a team, we're running around 200, 225,000 a month. But the thing is, we're a $450,000 team. We're double that. I know we are. We have some great performers on this team. But guys, we have even greater potential on this team. And great potential that's not being tapped into. And so, I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about some principles from the book, The Slight Edge. Because if you want to know where or how that a Marshall Whalen or an Ed Pritchett got to where they're at, it comes back to the slight edge. Because I can tell you for a fact that these guys, if you've ever had a conversation with Marshall, he's a good old country boy. I mean, he really is. Great to talk to, fun, but he's not your polished, stereotypical salesman. You talk to Ed Pritchett. Again, now Ed's a very intelligent person. I believe he went to Yale, engineer, so highly intelligent. But you have a conversation with Ed, and he's very reserved. He's not out. He's not boisterous. He's very, you have to kind of draw him out a little bit. Again, not your stereotypical salesman. And so in our mind, we have this idea that you've got to be the glad hander going around slapping everybody on the back, kissing babies, and making friends everywhere you go. And here's two guys that, in their own respects are as ordinary can be, and built these massive organizations. And again, I am confident, and I know this for a fact, talking, at length with Marshall, and again, I've had limited conversations with Ed, but talking with Marshall, it comes down to this slide edge principle. Guys, that is the only difference. And so we talk about the slide edge. If you're not familiar with the book, the premise of the book, there's little decisions, there's little actions, there's little commitments, there's little things that you do each and every day that have an impact on your life, and most you don't even realize how much impact. And I tell people, in my mind, we think of these books as success books or motivational books. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is a success and a failure book. And the book itself makes this point. And that's what I love about it. A lot of personal development books are all about, positivity, high energy, and that's great. But Slide Edge is actually what I call an honest book. It's going to tell you the story both ways. Okay. And it tells you that the slide edge cuts both ways. Those little decisions, those little actions, those little mindsets, those little thoughts, all those little things that add up to either positive or negative in your life. There are no neutral actions. And I firmly believe this. The more I read into this book and the more I thought about my life and those around me, the people that I'm close to and watch, there are no neutral actions or decisions. Everything you do in life is either going to have a positive or a negative impact. Now, luckily, especially on the negative side, most of those decisions don't wreck your life. I mean, in as long as you don't get into a pattern, they're not going to completely derail you and turn you into a mess. But the book makes a point that, hey, if we were to go out and have go to the local burger joint and grab a cheeseburger and fries and a milkshake and eat that, we all intellectually know, unless you got some major health problems right now, you're probably not going to drop dead. Going out and having that is not going to just completely derail you. And we all know that intellectually. The problem is because we know that, we think we can get away with doing that on a regular basis, sometimes every day. Well, it's just one burger, it's just one fries, it's just one milkshake. It's not going to kill me. No, it's not. But doing that every day or every week, even several times a week, it adds up. And so that's where the slide edge principle comes in. Those small decisions. Yes, one decision may not kill you, or may not wreck your life, may not wreck your finances, may not wreck your success, or even create some financial success or create benefits for you. One decision is not but a continued process of decisions will. And so, and a lot of times those decisions can be conscious, but they can also be unconscious. Most of them are unconscious decisions. And so some principles I want to share with you this morning as it relates to this business and where you are in the business. And guys, sometimes we've got to be brutally honest with ourselves, and that's the hardest thing to do. We will not be honest with ourselves. We'll make excuses. We'll say, well, it's the environment I'm in, it's the neighborhood I'm in, it's the leads I'm getting, it's this. But we won't look ourselves in the mirror and say, what are the little decisions I'm making each and every day that are either leading to where I want to go or causing me to not get what I want out of this business. So some principles that the author Jeff talks about in the slide edge. Number one, master the mundane. Guys, the biggest failing point I see in this business is people who are not willing to put in the basics. base amount of work that it takes to be successful. Getting on the phone, making the dials, setting enough appointments, whether it's part-time or full-time. Guys, I'm not going to tell you you got to have 15 appointments if you're on a part-time basis, but you should be doing 8 to 10. If you're part-time, you've got to figure out a way to get 8 to 10 into your schedule. If you're full-time, if you're not doing 12 to 15, this is a hobby. This is not a business. This is not a career. And so you've got to master the mundane. You've got to be willing to put in, again, the slight edge, those little decisions when you've been on the phone for 3 or 4 hours. And I know, I'm pointing fingers at myself here. It's easy to say, well, you know what? It would be better if I were to wait, put 3 hours in. That's pretty good. We've got a few appointments. I'm going to stop now because I'm going to get a lot more contacts in the morning. Instead of putting in another hour or two of activity and going ahead and picking up, that extra and making your load that much easier the next day. And then what will inevitably happen is the next morning we get up and think, oh, gosh, I'm way behind on paperwork. So but knock that out first, and then I'm going to go ahead and jump on the phones, and then my mind will be clear, and I'm just going to blow through it, and I'm going to have all kinds of appointments set up. And 3 hours later, we're still staring at that first piece of paper that was our paperwork. And it's kind of late in the morning, and I don't know that really now's a good time because people are going to be getting ready for lunch, and I don't want to be messing that up. So we're going to wait till after lunch. You guys, you see how that slight edge mentality, whether we know it or not, prevents us from getting where we want to go. So you have to master the mundane. They make the point in the book. We've all heard, it's almost cliched at this point. A penny doubled every day. Would you rather have $1 million or a penny doubled every day? And of course, if you're financially savvy and smart, you're going to choose the penny double every day. The problem is you have to start with the penny. And too many times we won't even pick up the penny. And so that penny doubled every day, you have to keep doing that little activity. You got to start with one penny and you got to double it the next day and double it the next day and double it, double, double. And, if you look at the number, somewhere around day 15, it's still not a very impressive number at all. In fact, it's still pretty minuscule. Whatever our goal is to get to the million. Equate that to this business. You may not be where you want on APV in a given day, a given week, a given month, but you got to keep doubling that activity every day. Because if you don't, at the end of the month, you're just going to be sitting there with a handful of pennies. Whatever you've done up to that point until you quit mentally and emotionally. So master the mundane, start with the penny, but keep doubling, keep doing that activity. One thing that he pointed out, and he referenced a guy that I actually love to watch his YouTube videos. The book points out that you need to be happy. You need to find a way to be happy. And guys, let's face it, this is a grind. This is not every day is just sunshine and rose petals. In fact, there's a lot of days where there's not a lot of that. But you have to find ways to be happy and be content with yourself. And, I posit to you guys, one of the easiest ways to do that is to check the box of getting your activity in every day. One of the best sales trainings I ever listened to was a guy who said, if you've gone through your day and you've done all the activity that you set out to do, in other words, you had a game plan and you executed, and you got that game plan done, even if you blanked, even if you hit a big goose egg on results, he said, go home and be happy and content because you put in the activity that was necessary to get to your success. And if you do that every day, yes, you're going to have zeros, but you're going to have some days with some pretty big numbers. And too many times, that's what derails us. We think, well, gosh, I put all this work in, and it's just, I blanked. Okay, so. But you gotta find that happiness. So I mentioned the guy that he referenced, a gentleman by the name of Sean Achor, last name Achor, I believe. But look up his videos on YouTube called The Happiness Advantage. Got some great tips on how to manage your day-to-day mindset and happiness. And a lot of it starts, we've heard the miracle morning routine. he similar but different. You know, he's not going to have you get up at 4 a.m. to do all this. He says you can do this at other times, which is what I like, because I don't like getting up at 4 a.m. But he's got a very simple 5-step process that you can follow. And if you do that, starting your day out every day, you will have, you'll be able to create that peace of mind, and that allows you to focus on your business and your success. Last thing that the slide edge, or not the last thing, the last thing that I pulled out of doing a quick summary last night as preparing for this call, is you have to invest in yourself. I thought there's an old saying, when's the best time to get involved or invest in something new, say a startup company, or an opportunity that's just blowing up and taking off? When's the best time to invest? Well, the best time to invest is in the beginning, when it starts. When's the second best time? Right now, today. Today is the second best time. So if you're not where you want to be in this business, if you're falling short on the numbers, if you had lofty goals when you came in, but you're not getting those, guys, this is a business where truly you can start today, brand new, fresh out of the box, and crush whatever number you have in mind. But you have to make that decision. So you have to invest in yourself mentally, through personal growth, through personal development. You have to invest in yourself through activity. Again, that slight edge, going out, doing the activity, making the commitment to get your activity in. And guys, don't break it down. Don't make it this. If we need to make 300 dials this weekend, don't start out thinking, "Oh, I'm just going to sit down and go pound out 300 dials." I don't think anybody on this call, even these top performers, have the mental capacity just to sit and pound out 300 dials. What we do is we take that 300 dials and we break it down into chunks. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do 50, or I'm going to do 75 dials. I'm going to knock those out, and I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to let my mind clear. I'm going to grab a snack. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to reset. I'm going to jump back on the phones. I'm going to knock out another 75 dials. Maybe I break that up over a couple of days session. Whatever it takes, but you've got to make that commitment, and you got to put that investment into your time, into your schedule, into making sure that you're getting that activity in to get your success. And guys, the last thing I'll say, you have to have some monetary investment in your business. You have to invest in personal development, whether it be buying the books and the things that we recommend, but you have to invest in getting to the meetings, the fall tours, the upcoming leaders conference in November. I'm sure everybody that comes into this business, because I do thousands of interviews, and every person, I haven't had a person yet who says, "Well, I would like to get into this because I want to make what I'm making right now." Everybody wants to make more. Most want to say, in fact, I don't even know, I remember anybody that says they want to make less than a 6-figure income, 6 or 7-figure income. We want to come into this business because we want to make 6 and 7-figure incomes, and this is a business where you can truly do that. Okay? The problem is we want to make 6 and 7-figure incomes, but we want to keep putting in the investment that got us our 2-figure incomes. That you're in other words, you're 50,000 as opposed to your 150,000. Maybe I should say 5-figure income. That'd be a better way to say it. Your 5-figure income. We want to put the same investment in that got us our 5-figure income that we wanted to get our 6 or 7-figure income. And guys, that math doesn't work. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. You're going to have to step up. You're going to have to invest. That's why our leads cost money, okay? That's why we tell you to get to events like conferences and fall tours. Yes, that costs money, that costs travel, that costs time, that costs effort. But nobody at the top, I mentioned those guys, Ed Pritchett, Marshall Whalen, Jacob Poe. Those guys, you see them at every event. You see them at every event now, you think, well, of course it's easy. They got all kinds of money to travel. No, you saw them at every event 6 and 7 years ago when they started in the business. They didn't miss. And if you think, well, I'll go to the next one. Don't worry about it. I'll go to the next one. That's not, guys. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. That's not 110 behavior. That's not equity partner behavior. That's not even six-figure earner behavior. We just don't have people who perform in this business. And I can back it up. I can point to all the people who are winning at a high level in this business, and every one of them, I guarantee, I may not see them at every meeting because they may go to their regional meetings, but they go to meetings. And if you don't, you're just not going to make it in this business. So all that to say, and that's not a build up just to promote Leaders Conference, but hey, Leaders Conference is coming up here in about 2 to 3 weeks. You need to be there. We need to make the commitment. Jump on, get flights. If flights are too expensive, then find some buddies and let's carpool. Let's get there. The conference coming up in the spring, guys, that conference is going to be on a boat. So, I mean, if nothing else, I'm going to be there just to be on the boat. But we're going to get some great training, great content, great association, the opportunity to be around those top performers. Guys, these are all, everything that I'm talking about is all these little decisions. And that's the thing right now that unfortunately, as I look at our numbers, I mean, like I said, we've got some great performance. We're putting up some great numbers, and we get a lot of accolades at being a 200 to 250,000 a month agency. But the thing that I think saddens me, and I'm happy, I'm grateful. I do have to be happy and grateful for where we're at. The thing that's unfortunate is I know we're a $400,000 to $500,000 agency, and I see too many names and pictures on this screen right now. The people who've got, gosh, guys, you have potential. I can't tell you how much potential you have. And really, at the end of the day, it just comes down to some little decisions on your part. Are you going to do what it takes to win in this business? I mean, you've got it. You've got the abilities. Like we were talking about on the builders call, who do we choose to bring into this business? And not everybody's going to make it. And I believe, honestly, not everybody's going to make it, not because they don't have the skill set or they don't have the ability. A lot of the people that we talk to have that. They just don't have the mental and emotional and capacity to do this. But the thing about this, and this is why I love hearing from guys like Doug Zay and Meredith, from the home office, that can be changed. That, I mean, there are certain things that can't be changed, who your parents were, where you were born, what state, what country, there are a lot of things that we don't have control over. Luckily, we're in the greatest country in the world, so we have all these freedoms that we can go out and make these changes, make these things positive. But my point being, there's a lot of stuff that we can't change, but one of the things that we can change is our mental state, our mental capacity, and our mental ability to succeed. And so as I look at all the folks on this call, I can tell you we're at least double. We should be at least double where we're at. We're great right now, awesome numbers. But again, to be a team of excellence, this has kind of been my theme since the beginning of the year. We've got to step it up. And there's a lot of you on this call. You said you've got way more capacity than you're giving yourself credit for. And hey, those of you who are performing at a top level, Slide Edge applies to all of us. Just one more whatever, one more call, one more appointment, one more recruit, one more conversation. It's just one more that takes us to that next level. So that's my challenge to you all this morning. As you jump on the phones this weekend, guys, like I said, this is fourth quarter. We're pushing hard for numbers. and yes, for ourselves, for our families, for our financial future. But really, this is a huge team effort, and we've got one of our, one of the best in the business, somebody who's really invested and poured a lot into us, Scott Mank, going for that third month of a 110 run. And I know he's desperately wanting to reinvest that back into this team. So I'm calling on each and every one of you, even even if you're a part timer and you're looking just to write a couple apps, guys, let's find a way to write one more. If each and every one of you would go out and do just a little bit more, the numbers on next week's report are going to be phenomenal. It just takes a decision on each and every one of you. And like I said, I'm looking at the screen, and if you think I'm talking to you, yes, I am. As I say this, I'm looking at each box and each name, and I'm talking to each one of you and say, look, this is it. Coming down to you. What are you going to do with your activity this weekend and next week? And I'm pointing at myself too. I'm looking at my box because there are things that I need to step up and I've got to do better at. And I'm jumping on the phones and looking for, in my limited time, where can I fit in, maybe getting a few apps thrown in to help that bottom line APV. So that challenge goes to me as well. Guys, like I said, it was going to be a short call this morning. I'm going to wrap it up early. Let you all jump on the phones this weekend to set up a huge last week of October. Next Friday is the final day of turn in. Let's push hard, get some numbers in the pipeline, and have that success for yourself, for the team, for the group as a whole. And let's push hard for this run to the end of the year and finish out strong, guys. And there's a lot to be said for not only the financial success, but also that feeling of accomplishment when you took whatever level you're performing at. Again, I'm not telling you all to try to match, John Paul or Jeremiah or Stella. Take your personal best and just push that bar up a little bit. Okay, set that bar up. Just if that's another one or two applications, guys, that's a win. That is a huge win. But it takes each and every one of you making that decision. So, all right, great week, guys. Let's set up. Let's push hard for this last week of the month. Excited to see what you rock stars are going to turn out this week. So have a great week. Connect with your mentor. Find out a way to get that bar moved, how you're going to do that activity, get pushed out. So great call, everybody. Look forward to seeing you all next week on the call when we celebrate big wins for the month of October. So have a great week.